Welcome everyone to episode 23.5 of the Worldstone Keep. That's right, 23.5, not 24 like you were expecting. The reasoning behind doing another .5 show is we wanted to save everything but news for episode 24. As today we just had the Activision Blizzard investor conference call, we got a bit more news about the timeline surrounding Diablo 3's release. We'll be recording episode 24 later this week, closing out both the Black Road and Diablo 2 Act 3. That way we'll be in a nice position to record another live show for episode 25. And for that one we'll probably be doing another concept art show like we did the past two live shows, as I really enjoy those shows quite a bit and want to do another one. As for when we record it, probably won't be Friday night anymore as we've changed the day when we record our shows, but more on that when we get a solid game plan down. For now, let's jump right into some awesome news. Ken, what's the awesome news we have this week?
Well, we've got some All Your History videos that we'll be covering, some nice blue posts from Bashok, just some fun stuff there, a bunch of Facebook images, but the big conference news. And this is pretty much what I've been saying for a while, but I don't know if you guys want to fill in after that, but what I heard was that Mike Morheim was planning the Diablo 3 beta for the third quarter, which I believe is July, August, September of this year. So summer beta.
Correct.
And
yes.
They're really so he re-emphasized his push for a 2011 release, the release of the game. I'm shaking, I'm so excited. Release of the game this year. But of course he did add his little but no promises. But that's what they're pushing for.
Oh,
official.
So exciting.
Doubly. Oh my gosh, I was like walking around. Like, this is the kind of thing that, like, I'll be walking down the street and just start laughing and just giggling and cackling, and people are like, this guy's crazy. I'm like, no,
yes,
you don't understand. I've been waiting. I am crazy, but I've been waiting for this game forever, and it's close. I can smell it.
Have you not heard? It's within a year.
So, yeah. Oh my
so
gosh.
Close.
Like, at work, it's so funny. When I tell people that, they just, like, they stop everything. They just go into, like, a blank state. Like, I don't know. Did you guys ever watch that old show, Blossom? Like,
Nope, never seen it.
Yeah, well, Joey. He, like, one of the characters, he's kind of like an idiot, but when something happens, he just, like, goes into this blank stare. Like, he's just completely spaced out. And that's what happens when I tell people. It's like, no. 2011 release for Diablo 3. That's what they're aiming for. And they're like, I won't need any other game.
Seriously, for life, right?
That's it. Whoa, what else? What else are you gonna, like, once in a while I might play StarCraft 2, just because. But that's just once in a while. Other than that, no. Yeah, just to remind myself just how much I love Diablo 3.
So those are probably the two biggest things.
Nice.
The Q3 beta potential for a December release. One of the interesting things that came out on a bit more of a niche interest thing would be that of Activision Blizzard, as far as their investments are concerned, Blizzard actually makes up a fairly sizable, like the majority portion, over 50% of the reported income was actually from the Blizzard side of it, even though Blizzard put out, I think, a 10th or a 20th as many products in the same time span.
That's saying something.
As Activision. So, something in excess of like 75% of the total revenue came strictly from World of Warcraft and Black Ops. So,
wow.
Two massive properties there.
It's also so scary. Like, Call of Duty does very, very well for itself. And then, like, Call of Duty and World of Warcraft, that company they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, to say the
least.
least.
It's no surprise
of course, we do have to worry about them undermining their own. We do have to worry about them undermining their own profits this year with, a new Spyro game coming out. In case anybody remembers that, and the big one, the relaunch of Cabela's Big Game Hunter.
Yes! Oh my God! It's about time. Oh. Screw Diablo 3, man. That's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, we might be seeing Diablo 3 getting scrapped altogether in order to just get Cabela's out on time.
I'm not mad at that at all.
Oh my, that's funny.
And in case you are all wondering why Blizzard is the top of the PC gaming market right now and why they've done so well, you should check out the other bit of news we have, the Machinima All Your History videos. They put out, so far they have 5 out right now. The latest 5th one just came out today, which I haven't watched yet, but I'll watch it later. And these pretty much tells you how Blizzard got started and how they got to the point where they are now. They're really good videos and very informative. Kind of like the 20-year anniversary video Blizzard put out, but in a lot more depth.
Well, yeah, I mean, and since it's not from the point of view of someone within Blizzard, they say some of the things that Blizzard wouldn't. Like, I didn't even know about a couple of those games that got scrapped, or the reason why some people left.
Yeah.
Like, those weren't going to be mentioned in, Blizzard side of things.
Yeah,
of course.
I was definitely thinking the same thing watching through that.
I mean, not that it's all like, lies and slanders. Mike Morheim slept with this guy's wife and got her pregnant and told that guy to, it's not like, like huge drama. It's just, whatever.
Semantics.
Ghostcrawler is secretly an eldritch abomination that they raised in an attempt to get Diablo 3 out on time.
Nice.
They got a nice, good 80s porno music soundtrack to them, too, so that's rather enjoyable. If you're into that kind of thing.
It's definitely worth a watch. There's a lot in there. Well, that was sort of odd timing. It's like porno soundtrack, definitely worth a watch. Just overall, I'm actually a little bit behind. I'm not caught up on all of this, but I've started watching through it, and yeah, it's some really interesting. Really interesting stuff.
Pretty captivating. I mean, if you're into that. They also have a World of Warcraft one that they do just about WoW, and those are equally as interesting. I enjoy those ones too.
Re-emphasizing just how flippin' big that game is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so easy to lose perspective of it, and this is something that we actually see over and over and over again in the community, particularly in the Diablo 2 or the Diablo 3 community, where when there's not a big picture that's easily accessible, when people grab onto the smallest things. That's why, we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and it's kind of funny, but the whole sign of the beta meme that's going around, because there's the want for information, so people grab onto every little thing, and they'll pick up small things like, Bashiok will say something, and people will take it and they'll run with it and be like, oh, this means you're ruining the game because you're going to have this. It's like, well, no, in the bigger picture it makes sense, but they grab onto the small things because it's so large. It's so easy to forget where things are going or where things have been. And you see that in WoW, and we'll see it again in Diablo 3. And WoW, how it usually comes out is people will complain about, they'll talk about back in the day. And we see this with people referencing Diablo 2, and they'll be like, well, back in the day, it was this way and it was good. Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it sucked. Or you're remembering it wrong. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, back in the day, PvP was awesome. Well, no, back in the day, warriors sucked. Warlocks were broken because, they could just kite anyone to death. Shamans were a crapshoot because they could just magically one-shot you. And you lose sight of stuff. So I think these kind of retrospectives are really good to kind of remind people of, oh, well, that's the way it was. And that's kind of what I think my personal take on our Diablo 2 retrospective, that's sort of what I've been trying to get in there is this, well, this is the way that it actually is, not necessarily the way we remember it.
Right.
And so I'm hoping we're living up to sort of the legacy of these other retrospectives.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it for a very long time. There are a lot of different elements within the previous games that were, terrible functionalities, but it was good at the time. It was the best on the market at the time because no one had ever done this before. You'd never seen this type of creation before. And the more that they progress, the more that they make these things, the better they get at it. One of the things that you notice throughout the development of Blizzard Entertainment is that every time something new and innovative comes out, it's really not a major change from the old game type. It's not like they invented the RTS or the RPG. What they did was they took the best elements of it and they made it better.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what they're good at. They take the best elements.
They added that patented Blizzard polish. And, it's just so good. The games
that kind of actually rolls right into one of Bashiok's recent posts, the one on useless traits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was actually excited when he said, post about complaining about a trait being useless, and he's like, oh, no, sorry, we got rid of that a while ago. It's like, yes, good. I have never been a fan of those kind of traits. You know what? There's a lot of yapping going back and forth about it, but I agree with the guy who is stating that traits that are like boost your damage versus undead, boost your damage versus demons, those are just like bad trait design, because like in World of Warcraft, which is a prime example of an RPG, you don't go for those traits generally unless you're like specking for a specific fight. You usually go for the ones that are like, I would take plus 3% overall damage over plus 10% damage to like giants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because more often than not, the 3% is going to help you. So like that to me is a good argument, and then Bashik comes in and he's like, oh yeah. For that exact reason, we got rid of them.
Yeah, I got the exact post here. There are a number of traits which are too situational to be deemed worthwhile to invest in. A few examples are increased damage against beasts, increased damage against demons, increased damage against undead. And Bashiok replied to that. He said, "We agree, and they were removed from traits a while back. Not that you could have known that, so yay! We don't want traits passives to be boring. Even the ones that are pretty bland stat increase type passives, we try to make them feel weighty. Trait points are fairly rare, so that lets us make each point feel a lot sexier to spend, even if they are just the standard percent stat passives, but they're big percent increases. But there's also a lot of traits that are fairly intricate in what they provide, and no small degree can be game changers."
See, I like that they're heavy, because it just gets me thinking about, those times when you go from like normal to nightmare, or from one act to another, and like the damage or the difficulty really amps itself up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, you know what? It's like I'm so close to just being able to, easily, or not easily, like, normally just go through this, but I'm like just a bit weak. It almost feels like, you squeeze out that extra level and get that extra trait, and you pop it into one of those, heavy, beefy traits, and now you're good to go, which is just something that would never happen in Diablo 2,
Mm-hmm.
without just the way it's like, oh yeah, another point in Glacial Spike, I still suck.
Yeah, that's one of the crazy things, and what you have to understand about why they changed the level cap was that when you had 99 skill points and traits were actually still merged with skill points because there was no differentiation between the two, there was no way to actually balance out how powerful you were at any given stage in the same degree. So, in just like you could take a level 80 character and PvP against a level 99, level 80 could win very easily as long as he had better gear.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was no significant jump in power.
They could have done it, but what they would have to do is they would have to say, okay, you'd have to look at it in terms of time and say, okay, we want it to take, say, 30 hours to hit level cap, and then map out 1 to 99 on that 30 hours, and then say, okay, well, how often should they get trait points, and how often should they get stat boosts and additional skills and whatnot, and then you map that out along the 30, and then you translate that over and you distribute among 1 to 99. The thing is that once you've done that, though, the level cap becomes completely arbitrary, because it's no longer about
exactly
hitting
right.
99, it's about putting in 30 hours. And so if it's 99, if it's 60, if it's 15, you're going to be getting your gains at a regular pace.
Also, there's another thing you should look at with that, in that exact same line. How many skills are actually going to exist since what were they aiming? It was like 25, 30 per class?
20 active
20?
skills per class.
20 active skills per class. So if you have 20 active skills that you can put points into, they don't want you putting 99 points into those 20 skills. So instead of getting, a skill point every level, you're getting one every 5 levels. And that makes leveling up just not as cool. So reducing the skill or the level cap to a point where it's, still like you're still leveling up. There's still that feeling of lots of leveling, but getting rid of the suck of not getting anything for leveling up. Like, who cares? Like, does anyone remember what happened when you leveled up from 26 to 27 in World of Warcraft? What did that do? That did, anyone? Yeah,
No.
Nobody cares.
Right? Point, like way back when 26 to 20, that wasn't even an important one, because you didn't get new spells, so it was a talent point. You got a talent point. That was it.
Yeah, like that was lame. So with this, since there's, what would that be, like a skill every? I forget how it worked in the demo I played at BlizzCon. It was like one level I got